And are you a college football fan? I know in my family we are big college football fans. A little bit disappointed that the college gridiron has not gotten back up and running, at least here on the West Coast. But, Little Bird told me this morning that we are about to announce that Pac-12 football is coming back. Pac-12 football is back. The Bruins, the Trojans, the Cougars, the Sun Devils, all 12 of them. That's right. They are coming back. And word is that they will be ready to play that first weekend in November. So an abbreviated slate, maybe 6-7 games they'll work in. But college football is back. The pro sports are up and running, and man, is it a wonderful dilemma to have? Do I watch the hockey playoffs? Do I watch the basketball playoffs? Or do I watch the football game or the Dodgers ready to make another unprecedented run through the NL West? It's just a great time to be alive. It is fantastic. I know this pandemic's got us down, and a lot of you are dealing with a lot of stuff, but it's good to get back to a little bit of normalcy, that one step closer to normal. It is really nice to have sports back. However, be ye not mistaken, the apocalypse is still upon us, and here is this week's reminder of that fact. Taco Bell has a new menu item, yes. Taco Bell, are you ready for this? And I know that's not normally big news. Taco Bell debuts a new menu item, about every 3 to 4 weeks, but this one truly is that seventh sign of the apocalypse. Taco Bell is now serving a limited edition, only available in Canada. Trust me, that's a good thing. Their limited edition, only available in Canada, jalapeno noir. Yep. Jalapeno noir red wine, served at Taco Bell, available at their drive-thrus, available online and in certain stores. It is vented. Check this out. It is vented like any good wine to be paired with a specific food item. That's right. It is vented to be paired with the restaurant's new toasted cheesy chalupa, which is reportedly made with a 6-month aged cheddar. So perfect that it's served in Canada, home of poutine and Canadian bacon. My Canadian friends, it is Friday. Perfect time to dress up in that Canadian tuxedo, strap on that denim, and take that special someone through the drive-thru for a little jalapeno vino and a chalupa. But not here. Nope, I've already got to call in to Mayor Smythe to make sure that we keep the Taco Bell wine out of Awesome Town, because we're doing our part for you. We are keeping our eye on the valley. That's right. It is Eye on the Valley. We rebranded our show. It's been almost a year now since we rebranded. We used to be Our Way on the Highway. The show brought to you by SCVi Charter School. SCVi out on the west side of town. That's right, west side. We are right off of Newhall Ranch Road. It is technically in Castaic, but it is about a stone's throw into Castaic. So convenient for those of you on the west side of the valley. And those of you saying, what about us on the east side? Well, we've got a school on the east side as well. I lead Agua Dulce here on the east side of town. But our show is Eye on the Valley, where we focus on SCVi Charter School and I-Lead schools, the great things going on there, and all the wonderful things and the challenging things. Boy, there are plenty of challenging things going on in the vein of education recently, and we are keeping our eye on that. But we're also keeping our eye, like the show title says, on the rest of the valley, talking about what's going on in and around the valley, important topics and issues taking place here, and helping you stay up to date on what's going on in, like I said, education and other topics in and around the valley. We have got a terrific show today. I've got Frederik Shulin. He's going to be coming in studio. He should be here in just a few minutes. Frederik is the CEO of Insight Teen Treatment Center. He's doing some great things for teens. And the next hour, hour number 2, that's right, we've got a 2-hour show here. 8 to 10 every Friday morning. In the second hour, we'll be talking to Amber Soto. She is the Director of Mathematics Instruction at SCVi and iLead Schools, and she will be joined by Shauna Brown. Shauna teaches 4th and 5th grade. We call our teachers facilitators. It's not something we do for affect. It's something that we do to remind everybody, especially our educators, that their role is a little bit different. It's not their job to stand up in front of the class and dictate class and tell kids, how much is 2 plus 2, but it is their role to just kind of set the stage for student learning and put kids in control of their learning. Well, that's exactly what Shauna Brown and Amber Soto are going to be here to talk about in the second hour. They've been working on an amazing project that sent an experiment designed by their students to the International Space Station. Let me say that again. Amber and Shauna have put together a project. We've talked about it before here on the show, but they have put together a project where 4th and 5th grade students at SCVi each proposed in groups. Each group proposed a different experiment, and one of them was selected and actually flew and was performed by NASA scientists on the International Space Station just actually a couple of months ago, not long ago. So we'll find out about how they have been able to continue that project even through the pandemic. But as I said, my first guest is Frederik Shulin. Frederik is the CEO of Insight Treatment Center, and he's actually been gracious enough to come into studio and join us here in studio this morning. We are glad to have him. As I said, Frederik is the CEO of Insight Treatment Center. Insight treatment programs are intensive outpatient treatment programs for teens ages 13 to 19 suffering from mental health and addiction issues. They recognize that every family is unique and has different needs, problems, and resources. Insight's treatment staff takes pride in creating individualized treatment plans tailored to each family's specific goals. Whether your teen is suffering from mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, trauma, or is showing self-harming, aggressive, or addictive behaviors, Insight is here to help. Frederik, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning, man. Thank you very much.
Of course, it's good to have you. So first of all, Frederik, tell me about yourself. What's your background? How did you get into providing intensive treatment for teens?
Well, to be honest, I'm from Denmark, and I grew up in Denmark, and over there's not a lot of treatment programs. We're far behind compared to the U.S. when it comes to how to deal with mental health issues. So as I came over to the U.S., I got very interested in how we here are dealing with the teenagers and trying to help them with their mental health issues. So that was what inspired me.
It's a really challenging field to get into. I can imagine you've got some very high highs, some very low lows in your industry, but I can imagine very satisfying working on some critical issues that go from oftentimes the back of a family's mind, where they never even consider them, to becoming the single most important issue in specific families, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's an industry, when you're in here, it's very emotional, right?
Yeah,
it's your treatment program. You're helping families, and of course, when it goes good, it's great. And sometimes when there's bad results, then of course your emotion it's very draining.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I personally love to be around the teens. I love to see how they can grow and see the changes in them. So for me, it's very satisfying to just to be around the teens, especially.
Well, the beautiful thing is it can become emotionally draining because you're giving your all, because you're putting so much into the work that you do with kids. So tell us a little bit about Insight. What's your mission, and how do you work with the kids that you treat?
Well, so traditionally, these outpatient programs, these programs where the kids will go to their regular schools and then come to a treatment program in the afternoon, typically those programs are in an office building, a medical building. They might be in a hospital setting, and I personally think that that's not the right way to set it up. I think it's very important that the kids gets an opportunity to get clinical support and mental health treatment, but in a setting that's much more conducive for them. them, that's much more welcoming and inviting. So I think the whole idea of asking a kid to go into a beautiful building on Wilshire Boulevard in Santa Monica and go up to the 10th floor and into group room number 5 and expect for them to sort of sit down with a bunch of kids that they hardly don't know, sit down and start talking about their trauma or start talking about their depression or anxiety or drug abuse or family issues. I think that's not the best way to set it up. And that's how we traditionally have done it here for many years. So what Insight is doing is we're trying to create a community or focus more on the community. So we have this warehouse space or create these warehouse spaces where the kids where there's a climbing wall and a basketball hoop, and it's sort of more of a clubhouse feel. So that the kids can come in and feel that, hey, this is a place where they can quickly create connections to the other kids. Because, the treatment becomes so much more powerful and so much more effective when the kids know each other and trust each other and feel that it's a group that they can rely on and get support from.
So they really develop that sense of a peer group. I've seen pictures of your facility, and you're absolutely right. You use the phrase a clubhouse. It reminded me a lot of the Boys and Girls Clubs that I've seen here around town. A place that really is inviting. It looks like a place where teens would just hang out after school or get together with their friends to have a good time. But it's not all fun and games, although I've seen the rock wall and the foosball table, and so there is some fun and games going on, but then that facilitates the work that you do as you head into group, right?
Yes, absolutely. As you can imagine, if you have been struggling with depression or anxiety or some sort of trauma for many years, you feel different, right? You feel that you are a different kid, that there's something going on with you that you can't really that you can't really explain, and it's very important to meet other kids that has gone through some of the same emotional stuff, people that you can relate to, right? So because as soon as you meet other kids, other 15-year-olds who have gone through some of the same things and who also feel that they're broken, who also feels that they have low self-esteem, then you can relate, and then you start trusting these other kids. And when you talk about your emotions in a group setting, then it just becomes so much more effective, right? You're willing to open up. You're willing to take risk among kids that you trust. So creating community is a very important part. And back to our mission. So our mission is really to make sure that these kind of programs are in many of the smaller communities or communities that we have in ours. Right now, a lot of the treatments are centered down in Santa Monica or Pacific Palisades or some of the wealthier sort of areas of town. And I think it's important that we understand that to help these teenagers, we need to create these IOPs, as it's called, intensive outpatient programs, out in the communities where they live, where the families are, and make it accessible for more people than just, at the moment, unfortunately, most of the programs are situated on the west side.
Right, and these issues that teens are dealing with aren't concentrated in Santa Monica.
No,
it just seems as though the treatment centers, you're right, seem to be down there, and it becomes such a hardship for so many families, where families that work oftentimes have to choose between getting to treatment or finishing their day at work, and so to have something here in our own backyard is so convenient, so helpful, and then again that really just facilitates building that peer group of, okay, maybe you and I go to the same school, maybe we go to schools on the other side of town, but we know some of the same people, we were growing up in the same experience, right? And so you mentioned that your program is an IOP, an intensive outpatient program. So when we say intensive, what are we talking about? What does the treatment look like?
So again, traditionally an intensive outpatient program is a place where 3 days a week parents would go, they would drop off their kid, the kids would get, or the teens would get 3 hours of structured treatment treatment, as it's called, and then they would pick them up again. So that's sort of the traditional model around an IOP. But what Insight is doing is we're saying, hey, for many kids, that's just not enough. Many kids need more containment than that. It needs to be bigger than that, because if it's not bigger than that, then often, unfortunately, the kids will go to a residential program where they have an inpatient program. We can talk more about that later. But the point is that in our program, the idea is that there's a program during the day. There's a day school for those kids who are struggling so much that they can't go to their regular schools.
Okay.
Obviously, right now with COVID, everything is a little different.
But none of the day schools are having on-campus classes. Yeah.
Exactly. So the idea is to create an environment where, yes, there's an IOP in the afternoon, and there's treatment 3 hours, 4 days a week in the afternoons, typically from 4 to 7. But there's also other things going on. There is activities in the weekend. We do things with A Light of Hope. That's an awesome, great community where we try to integrate the kids in there and to give them an opportunity to meet other peers, like-minded peers, and to give them a community. We go to Catalina every 3 months for 3 days with the kids, or to Big Bear to create community. We have paintball events. The point is that we need to give the kids more than just 3 hours of clinical treatment every day. We need to provide a more intense program to be able to really help and contain and support these families.
Sure. So your kids are coming not just 3 hours once a week. They're coming 4, sometimes 5, 6 times a week to your programs, and they may be even doing their school during the daytime, followed by the 3 hours of treatment. But then they still go home at night and are with their families, with their siblings, in their neighborhoods and things like that. But
that's right.
But then in your programs, they're not just interacting on a professional level. They're playing, they're horsing around, they're having a good time. They're facing maybe challenges. I don't know what kind of activities you plan for them in Catalina or in Big Bear, but I'm assuming they're facing different challenges and just bonding experiences, spending time with other kids in the program and your staff, so that then when the rubber really does hit the road and we hit those topics that really cut to the core of addiction or the mental health issues that they're dealing with, you can really go deep and work on some things. You develop that sense of family, huh?
That's right. And as you're pointing out, you're saying family. So another big part of the program is to not just support the kids, but it's really to support the whole family system. Because obviously, as you can imagine, when the kids are struggling, it affects the entire family. And often parents are struggling or have been struggling, that has affected the kids. So it's crucial when you're helping and supporting teens in the real world and not in an inpatient, in a residential program, but when you're doing it in the real world, it's crucial that you provide a lot of support to the parents as well, right? So therefore, there's 3 hours every week where the parents have to be in the program. It's on Monday nights. They show up, and they are meeting other parents that they can relate to, that are going through some of the same issues that they have been going through. So we really, again, this comes back to it needs to be an intensive program, right, where it's not just the teens, but it's the whole family dynamic, the family that gets support. In the weekend, there will be people on staff that parents can call if the teen comes home and said, "Hey, Mom, I need to go to this party. My old friend is having a birthday party. I want to go over there." I'm not sure that that's really a good idea. Are you? So the parents often don't know how to set boundaries, and they need to get some help. So then there's a therapist that they can call, or a counselor that they can call in the weekend and say, "Hey, Eddie, do you think this is a good idea for us to do?" And Insight would guide them a little bit and say, "No, this is probably one of the things you need to say no to." So yes, that's the idea of an intensive out program. It's much more than just the teen getting 3 hours of support or treatment.
Because this isn't an individual issue. This is an issue that affects families. You and I met about a week ago, a little more than a week ago, and I was really very happily shocked by the way you guys seem to have thought of everything about making your treatment and your patients kind of merge back into regular daily life so seamless. It's really exciting. We're with Frederik Shulin, the CEO of Insight Teen Treatment Center. We've got to take a quick commercial break, but when we get back, Frederik, I want to ask about your program and how it's been affected by COVID and what you're seeing in teens as a result of the pandemic. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley. I'm Matt Watson on your hometown station, KHTS.
Hi, this is Bob Schertz with the Way Out Recovery SCV, reminding you that during these unprecedented times, addiction and mental health do not take a break. If you or someone you love are struggling, please give us a call at 661-296-4444. We are open and here to help you during this time. Thanks.
I promise I'll get help. It wasn't my intention. I'm sorry to myself.
Comfort Keepers provides your loved one with loving in-home care.
Miles McNamara, certified senior advisor and owner of Comfort Keepers in-home care.
Our caregivers can help you in your own home, enhancing independence, creating safety and comfort. Our Comfort Keepers provide companionship, meal preparation, medication reminders, assistance with personal care, and even transportation to doctor's appointments. If someone you love can use a helping hand at home, visit comfortkeepers.com.
Or call 287-4200.
Loss of hearing can affect the quality of life. Santa Clarita Hearing Center can help. They specialize in both preventative hearing loss and corrective measures, including diagnostic tests, new technology hearing aids, cochlear implants, hearing protection, and tinnitus treatment. They can adjust your current hearing aids or fit you for new ones. Santa Clarita Hearing Center also offers sleep molds, swim molds, and musician monitors. Book an appointment today. Log on to SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com. Located on McBean Parkway next to the hospital. That's SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com.
These days, it's hard to figure out how to fill all the self-isolation time, let alone figure out what to have for lunch or dinner. Salt Creek Grill owner Greg Amsler is helping us out in a big way. Salt Creek is now offering takeout and curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Their entire menu is available for pickup or delivery, including to-go beer and wine. Hey. In addition, Greg's offering wine at 25% off, along with daily specials. If you'd like to buy a gift card for a future visit, now's the time. Buy a $50 gift card and get $10 extra on the card completely free. Buy a $100 gift card, you get an extra $25. Salt Creek Grill, located next to Regal Cinema at the Valencia Mall. For more info, go to saltcreekgrill.com.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 on the FM dial and 1220 AM. This is SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson. We're talking this morning with the CEO of Insight Treatment Center for Teens, Frederik Shulin. Frederik, before the break, we were talking about the great things that your program is accomplishing for teens suffering from a variety of mental health and addiction issues. But, with the pandemic, COVID has really kind of thrown us all on our ear. Are you still able to operate in the same way that you normally do?
Yes, we decided early on that the kids are struggling to a point where absolutely there's a risk of COVID, no doubt about it, and we need to protect ourselves 100%. But unfortunately, for some or many of the families that we're dealing with, the suicidal ideation, self-harming, overdoses, and all those things are honestly a bigger concern, right, and a bigger risk. So at an early stage, we sort of went out to the families and said, hey, listen, we suggest that you continue to send your teen to treatment. If you as an adult, if you're compromised, if there's something going on, of course you need to stay home. And of course we do have a Zoom solution for the kids and the parents. But if not, we recommended families to continue to send the kids to us and continue to create community, which is so important for these kids. Being isolated at home with the family can be really hard and create a whole lot of new issues that we prefer not to see, obviously. So since day one, we've been open throughout this entire time and had a Zoom solution for those kids and families and parents who needed to participate in group but couldn't be there in person.
Okay, fantastic. So you've got various different options for, again, for each family that has different needs and things like that. But you guys are about as essential of a service as pretty much anything out there.
Thank you.
So you talked a little bit about it. There's a lot of chatter on social media, on the news, things like that, about how it's not healthy. Well, for any of us to be stuck at home all day, but especially kids who aren't able to go to school, which is such a huge part of their normal daily life, not being able to see their friends. What are you seeing with your patients? How is the pandemic and the associated quarantine, different restrictions, different closures, how is that affecting your patients mentally and emotionally?
Well, the teens, whatever the teens are struggling with is always related to things that is going on in the family, right? So back to the whole idea, it doesn't help just to help the teens or support the teams. We need to support the entire family. As you can imagine, Matt, when the kids are being asked to be at home all day together in the family unit, maybe mom and dad are trying to work from home, trying to make that happen. Mom and dad are trying to be school teachers at the same time, as you know, right?
Yes.
Mom and dad suddenly gets a lot of hats on, right? A lot of roles to play. They need to be the disciplinary one. They need to be the friend because the kids can't see their other friends. They need to be the school teacher, and they need to be a staff member or work in an organization, right?
Sure.
So the household quickly becomes sort of an area where there's a lot of energy, right? In many of the families we are working with, mom and dad has gone through their own stuff, right? They have their own history, their own things that they usually deal with, whether it's anxiety, whether it's ADHD, whether it's maybe depression, whether it's drug and alcohol abuse. But there's usually things that the parents are struggling with or have been struggling with. For the teen to be home all day and having mom and dad around all day and not having their usual community, it's hard. It's really hard, and it creates a lot of anxiety. It builds up a lot of often resentments and arguments and fights can come up in the family, and things can be said that unfortunately can take months and months to repair, right?
Sure.
So the whole stay-at-home order and the isolation and the lack of community is of course a big issue for kids and families that are struggling with drug and alcohol issues or mental health issues.
Yeah, it can be really difficult. So, but now, how does this play out with issues of addiction? Because everybody talks about how with adults, alcohol use is way up, right? Everybody's knocking off work a little bit early and having an extra drink that they didn't. But I would have I would have thought, and maybe this is my ignorance, and I'm hoping that you're here to correct me because I've got a teenager of my own at home. I would have thought with kids stuck at home with their families, that would all but eliminate substance abuse issues. Am I wrong?
Well, yes, you are wrong, because what happens is as the kids gets triggered at home throughout the day, it slowly builds up, right? It just becomes this ticking bomb.
Sure.
The kids are trying to hold back because they know if they would run out and meet with their friends to get high or smoke some weed, then it will be obvious, right?
Right.
So they don't want to create that stress at home, or they try to avoid it. But as things are building up, it just eventually it's going to explode, right? So eventually the kid's going to have to get it out somehow. They have to react to this emotional stuff that's just building up. So and that's when you'll see that they'll start getting angry at home. They'll start being defiant, and they might sneak out at night, and they might, having things delivered to the house. They'll start being very creative and sometimes very verbal and aggressive about the idea that, hey, they need to get out of the house. They need to hang out with their friends. So again, it's eventually all this emotional stuff is going to build up to a point where something has to give, right? And that's when you see these explosions in the families, and you see these reactions from the kids in a big way that then results in parents going, holy crap, what's going on here? Let's see, hopefully, if we can get some support and some help.
Okay, so oftentimes substance abuse is a way for teens to self-medicate. They don't always gosh, adults that suffer these different things don't always understand what's going on with them. They just know that they need something to help them get by or what have you. And as the stressors increase at home, their need to self-medicate, albeit improperly, becomes greater, and they may be even causing arguments and trouble at home on purpose as a way of, look, if I can get in a fight, then I can blow up and use that as an excuse to leave the house without permission and go take care of my perceived needs that way. So, kids are really smart, and we talk a lot on the show about how bright kids are, and I counsel, I've worked with thousands and thousands of kids at our schools over the years, and I talk to the kids all the time about how smart they are, but they need to use their powers for good, right? But they don't always. Kids can be so good at hiding things. So what should parents be looking for? Are there red flags, telltale signs of substance abuse?
Absolutely. So at Insight, we have counselors as part of the treatment program, right? The counselors typically have their own history. They've typically gone through a lot of things themselves, with either depression or with drug and alcohol. So today I brought one of our counselors, Eddie Garcia. He's a counselor at Insight, and he's typically the one supporting the parents and helping the parents, educate the parents on what to look for and how to deal with the drug abuse, the obvious pieces of it. So I'm going to pass the word over to Eddie, and then Eddie can maybe answer some of those questions.
Sounds good. Good morning, Eddie. Welcome to the studio. We appreciate you coming in.
Good morning. Thanks for having us. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
It's my pleasure. So, as a parent, I might not always be as savvy. In fact, that's often the case, right? The kids know so much more about what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
So, as a parent, what should I be looking for? What are some of those telltale or red flag signs of substance abuse that I should be watching out for with my kids?
What I usually tell parents when they ask or when I'm presenting to them is big changes in behavior. So it could be changing in sleeping habits, eating habits, changes in their friend group. Any big changes are always something to be aware of. And it doesn't always mean like, my kid changed his friend group, he's using drugs. It could be something else. So what we always suggest is get to know your kid, talk to them, really try to understand what they're going through, what's going on with them. And I'm not saying talking to teenagers is easy, because
nope.
we all know it's not. But really showing them you care in a way that they understand you're there for them can be really tricky to navigate and find. But when you have that communication, you can better understand what your teen is going through. So when those issues do come up, you're more aware of it. The more communication, the more aware you are of what they're doing, the more open dialogues and the more comfortable they feel that they can come to you when they have issues, a lot of times the less likely they are to act out in more extreme ways. But bringing it back to the question, it's always big changes in behavior, secrets, lying, manipulations. Those are all really big red flags. And like you said, kids are sneaky, so you don't always know what to lie. You don't always know when they're manipulating you. Like, like, I'm sick, I don't want to go to school today. Okay, are you really sick? That's the oldest one.
Sure.
Like, I don't feel good. But then it goes to like, I'm gonna go hang out with so and so, which might be someone the parents trust, but really, they told that person, hey, tell my mom and dad that like I'm gonna hang out with you, and really they're gonna go hang out with someone else or with a different group. So those are some different examples of social media, right? Yeah, checking social media. We're big on the parent's role is to be the parent and to really like understand that social media is dangerous. Who your kid's talking to. If you need to check your kid's phone, like, hey, you need to do that. And I'm not saying you always have to do that. Every relationship is different. Every teenager is different. Every parent is different. So you really have to take it, person by person.
Check their friends. So one of the things that we often also recommend parents is to check up on their kids, right? Hey, Mom, I'm going to go over to hang out with so-and-so this afternoon to do my homework. Yeah, that's good, but call up the parent. Get to know the other parents. Get to know your kids in that way. Don't feel that you shouldn't intrude into their lives. I think it's important when you have young teenagers or teenagers in general that you are aware of who they're hanging out with, and that you are a parent and that you set boundaries, right? So in a treatment program, Eddie is really spending a lot of time sort of helping parents understand that, hey, that's okay. That's part of being a parent. Can't always be the friend, right?
Right, absolutely. I love the way you said it. You've got to be the parent. You can't be the friend. But you can be compassionate. You can be understanding. When you're talking to your kids, at least half of that is also listening. There is a fine line, but a huge difference between being intrusive and being involved. Yeah. So listening to your kids, and one of the things that I learned early on is to avoid gasping at all cost. When your kid hears you gasp or kind of tremble at what they have to say, they're going to get that subliminal message of, oops, I shouldn't be talking about this with my parent. And you don't want any topic off the table. You want your kid to be able to come to you about anything. And they know that they can trust you, that they can come to you as an authority or somebody who's there to take care of them and parent them. And they need somebody to do that from a different lens than just a friend. This is so helpful, but because each patient is unique and their family, the type of treatment isn't always the same, right? We're going to take another quick break, but when we get back, let's talk about the different types of treatment placement there is and what are the advantages of each and when each is appropriate. This is SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley. I'm Matt Watson with Frederik Shulin and Eddie Garcia. Frederick is the CEO of Insight Teen Treatment Center. Eddie, what's your title?
So I'm a counselor by profession, but I do a lot of the community outreach and engagements with the schools, with the local schools in the areas.
Fantastic. Really out there on the front lines. So we'll be talking a little bit more with Frederick and Eddie when we get back. This is your hometown station, KHTS.
If your home or business has been damaged in a natural disaster, fire, earthquake, or wind damage, turn to the experts who will fight for you, Maximum Insurance Recovery. For over 15 years, their insurance professionals have managed and negotiated every disaster claim, resulting in maximum recovery. Let them help you with your claim. Call 818-300-5777 or go online to maxinsurancerecovery.com. That's maxinsurancerecovery.com.
If you need help at home or at the office, call Made For You. Made For You is a locally owned, bonded, and licensed cleaning service with over 20 years of experience. All employees are vetted for your protection. No need to buy products or expensive equipment. The Made For You staff comes complete with everything needed to make your home or office cleaner than ever. Hire Made For You one time, as needed, or on an ongoing basis. No room is off limits. Laundry and ironing services are also available. Call Made For You for a free estimate today. 255-2922. That's 255-2922.
No contract pest control. Did you hear that? Yes, Unipest has no contract, low impact, affordable, and environmentally and family friendly pest control options with orange oil or other family-friendly products. Whether it's ants, spiders, gophers, termites, or bed bugs, Unipest Termite and Pest Control has an effective, eco-friendly option for you. Call Unipest today for a free orange oil inspection at 661-BUG-7575 or visit unipest.com.
KHTS strives to give the Santa Clarita Valley all the information they need. And when our computers aren't working the way they should, we call Resurgence, your true source for IT. Resurgence provides outstanding customer service while also providing the highest technical ability. They strive to do what's best to improve and protect your business. For more information on Resurgence, call 349-4114 or visit resurgenceit.com.
Hi, I'm Eric Goldhurst, Head of Operations for Burger King North America. Throughout this time, we've taken steps to take care of our guests.
And since we know many of your jobs have been affected by this crisis, we want to help make sure you're taken care of too.
If you are looking for work, we are hiring.
And there's a spot on our team for you.
We know that we'll get through this together, as long as we keep taking care of each other.
For more information, call 253-3283. That's 253-3283.
Hey there, it's Tori with your hometown station weather. Another hazy, sunshiny day with highs in the mid to upper 90s, overnight lows in the 60s, and it looks like more of the same for the weekend. For anything and everything Santa Clarita Valley related, go to hometownstation.com. Find us on social media at KHTS Radio.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I'm Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVi Charter School's Eye on the Valley. Today, we are talking about teens and the issues that sometimes they struggle with in the areas of mental health and addiction. We're here with Frederik Shulin, the CEO of Insight Teen Treatment Center, and Eddie Garcia, one of his counselors. Eddie, you really work on the front line. You're the first person that families call. You oftentimes are the first person that kids call. You're out there working with schools. I mentioned before how seamless you guys try to make the fully comprehensive treatment of your patients, and so you guys work really closely with the schools. That's an important part of your treatment as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever we have a facility, whenever we open a facility, we get really involved with the community because we feel that's really important. We're a local treatment program, so people need to know locally that we're there and what we do, because the need is there. That's not a question. And with the schools, we see a whole spectrum of schools providing very comprehensive services and schools that don't provide many services at all. Mm-hmm. I mean, we see at your school, you guys are amazing. You guys allow a lot of room for the teens to be teens, which is something we believe in. Mm-hmm. We see the room for community and just allowing for teens to learn how they need to learn and taking them where they're at. And we really do believe in that ourselves in the treatment program, and really at the same time pushing them to do better, do more. The reason why we go out there is we find it very important to educate parents and bring awareness to mental health issues. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of resources for that because we see it every day, and really our goal is to help reduce the stigma by providing these resources that are, we have them at an arm's reach. Mm-hmm. Parents a lot of times don't understand, don't know what's going on. Many times we hear from students after a presentation like, hey, I understand everything you guys are saying. I feel that, and I've never been able to articulate it. Mm-hmm. And this speaker articulate it for me so perfectly, and thank you so much. So I love doing that. That's one of my passions when we get that type of feedback from the kids. So that is what we do with the schools. Yeah,
these topics can make adults oftentimes feel uncomfortable, but the more we push it down, the more it manifests itself in some really, really harmful ways, and that's what we're looking to avoid. I talked a little bit before the break, and we've only got a couple of minutes, but let's hit on them really quickly, Frederik. The different placements for kids, because again, different kids, different families have different needs, and much like we do in education, you guys have a lot of acronyms, and so I'm looking at an IOP versus a PHP, and RTC. So what are each of these placements, and when are they necessary for kids?
Yeah, good question, Matt. So typically I say to parents, so the hospital, if your kid is in a situation where they overdose or suicidal ideation, if they're in danger of themselves or others, mm-hmm. obviously you need to react right here and now. And the best way to do that is to simply go to the ER or go to a hospital and have the hospital evaluate your teen and see if they should be in an inpatient program right here and now.
Okay.
Typically what happens, the ER would then take the family or take the kids to a hospital like Delamo or Newhall, somewhere where there's an inpatient program, or Mayo, sorry, where there's an inpatient program, BHC Alhambra, and then the kids will stay there for 4 to 6 days or 3 to 6 days.
Okay.
That's just containment. Then when they come out of there, they can transition in treatment, and sometimes kids will go to the step down, which is a residential residential program, an RTC as it's called. And that's typically a beautiful little house with 6 beds and a lot of very good treatment going on at the facility, where the kids are isolated and, living there for 30 to 45 days.
Okay, so not a hospital, but a place where they are staying for an extended period of time.
Exactly.
Okay.
Usually that can be paid by your private insurance.
Great.
In other cases, it's out-of-pocket payments. It's relatively expensive, so it's good and it's important to have a good health insurance in these situations. So, and the step down from the residential program is then the intensive outpatient program, which is what we represent or support, where the kids then live at home, and now they're getting treatment in real life and getting support in real life situations, and you're getting support for the entire family.
Okay.
The step down from the intensive outpatient program would then typically be we call it outpatient, but that's just the kid will go and see a therapist once a week or twice a week. The family might go and see a family therapist once a week. But that's only individual work, or primarily individual work. So those are the different levels of care. And some kids in our program have been to a hospital or been to a residential program, doing better, stepping down to our level of care. Sure. And other kids have only seen a therapist before, and that didn't work, and they need a higher level of care. They need more support. So they step up to our level of care.
Well, this reminds me a lot of our country's educational programs, specifically in the area of special education with IEPs, where we have what's considered the child should be placed in what's considered the least restrictive environment, but they get more and more care as they have greater and greater needs. Absolutely. So you did mention insurance, and I know cost is a hugely important factor to families. Especially now with our state being in what's being considered the worst recession of our state's history. So are your programs at Insight covered by my medical insurance, and how do I find that out?
Yes, so obviously you can always call us and ask us, but yes, we take all private insurance plans. Great. So if you have any sort of private insurance, the only thing we can't take, unfortunately, is Medi-Cal. But if you do have a medical plan, you feel free to give us a call. We can recommend you programs that does take that, and sometimes we also hand over some scholarships to families that would be appropriate for our level of care and would fit well into the program. And so feel free to give us a call, and we'll do our absolute best to help you out find the right level of care and find a place that works for you. But yes, we are paid by insurance, and our program is typically a program that lasts 9 to 12 months.
Oh, great.
But people start at 4 days a week, then they drop down to 3 and to 2 and to 1, and eventually graduate. So it's not everybody that shows up 4 days a week. Okay. There's different families needs different level of intensity.
Kind of dovetail it back into regular life. So
exactly.
You mentioned that families can give you a call. What's your phone number, and have you got a website that you can share with folks?
Yes. So our website is www.insighttreatment.com. Our Santa Clarita facility is located in Diamond Place, or up on Diamond Place here in Santa Clarita. The phone number there is 661-765-8445. And you'll be talking to either myself or Lisa or a gentleman called Seth, and we'll be able to help you, guide you. And if you don't need this level of care, we're going to help you find a place where you can get the support that you need. So feel free to call us with any questions or any concerns, and we'll be happy to guide you and support you.
Fantastic. Frederick, Eddie, you guys are doing such important work. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for coming in. We will be back in just a little bit. I am Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVi Charter School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.
You see so much when you look at your child. A creative spirit that surprises you every day. Curiosity that develops into exploring unique passions. A little leader growing every day to discover who they are, what they love, and how they can make their mark on the world. At SCVi, we see those same amazing things. Our tuition-free K-12 charter school gives your child boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine freely, with a customized learning program built around each individual student. As iLead's founding school, SCVi combines an immersive approach to traditional subject learning with extracurricular activities, including STEAM, robotics, theater, music, and sports. SCVi has the only international baccalaureate program in Santa Clarita, with a 10-year proven track record of graduates excelling at top universities. And we're in your backyard, just off the 5 freeway in West Santa Clarita Valley in Castaic. For enrollment information or to learn more about our program, including homeschool options, visit iLeadSantaClarita.org. iLead Schools, free to think, inspired to lead.
Senator Scott Wilk is working overtime to create the jobs California needs to recover.
As principal co-author of the Aerospace Tax Credit, Scott's leadership helped bring a $65 billion aerospace contract and 6,500 new jobs to our community.
Scott helped prevent thousands of jobs in the entertainment industry from going out of state.
A former small business owner, Senator Wilk is working to help our local businesses survive.
Scott knows our economy can't recover until we stop the spread of COVID-19.
That's why he was part of a bipartisan effort to improve California's response to coronavirus and put medical supplies where needed.
Scott Wilk, putting party politics aside,
to get California healthy and working again.
Senator Scott Wilk.
He delivers.
Ad paid for by California Labor and Business Alliance, CLAB, sponsored by building trades, correctional peace officers, apartment rental organizations, and energy providers. Committee major funding from Chevron Corporation and its subsidiaries affiliates. Not authorized by a candidate or a committee controlled by a candidate.
KHTS AM 1220 and 98.1 FM Santa Clarita. It's 9 o'clock. Time for national news on KHTS.
Another record in a busy hurricane season. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The latest tropical storm just born in the eastern Atlantic, even as parts of the Gulf Coast remain underwater from Hurricane Sally. Fox's Evan Brown has more live.
Yeah, Lisa, damage assessments and power restoration continues along the Gulf Coast, especially in Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. Some estimates of power outages were greater than 400,000. And now there is a new storm named Wilfred. It's a low-pressure system off the coast of Africa. It is the last name in the 2020 list for Atlantic hurricanes. A depression in the Gulf of Mexico with potential to threaten Texas is likely to become Tropical Storm Alpha at some point. Lisa?
Well, Evan, Puerto Rico is still recovering from Hurricane Maria, which devastated the island 3 years ago. The White House says FEMA will award nearly $13 billion for infrastructure work, including on the energy grid.
Remember, the energy and power grid there in Puerto Rico was in really horrible shape before Maria came in and literally wiped the entire thing out.
Fox's John Roberts at the White House. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer is skeptical of the timing, suggesting it's political ahead of the November election. Last week, the president issued a disaster declaration from Puerto Rico over damage from Hurricane Isaias. For now, a proposed partnership between Oracle and TikTok parent company ByteDance remains under review. So millions of Americans who use it or another Chinese-owned app face new restrictions beginning this weekend.
On Sunday, both WeChat and TikTok will be deplatformed in the United States.
The Commerce Department's Director of Policy, Robert Blair, says that means no one in the U.S. will be able to download those apps or updates for them to their phones. He says that ban could be reversed if the Oracle deal is approved. The Trump administration hasn't said yet if it's enough to address security concerns. America is listening to Fox News.
I hate Tom's Tulip Shop. It just smells so flowery. Like we get it, you're a flower shop. You don't need to remind us.
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
I needed a fake plant. They don't sell fake plants. Thanks for nothing, Tom.
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial, auto, and business insurance.
Then he says, have a great day. I'll decide what kind of day to have.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
If you're tired of paying for cable news, tune into Newsmax TV right now for free. Get real news with shows from Mike Huckabee, Greg Kelly, Michelle Malkin, Diamond and Silk, Alan Dershowitz, and more. Newsmax is on all major cable systems, or get it free on Roku, Zumo, YouTube, Pluto, Apple TV, Chromecast, Amazon Fire, or your smart TV. So save money and watch Newsmax TV, or download the free app from your smartphone and start watching right now.
A firefighter in California becomes the latest casualty of the western wildfires that have killed more than 30 people. And in Southern California, conditions remain hot and dry.
And this is what's concerning firefighters. As these winds pick up, you have spot fires that reignite on the hillside, and there's really no telling where the gusts will carry the hot embers, potentially extending an already growing fire.
Fox's Jeff Paul in Monrovia, California. In Oregon, they have a different problem.
The Northwest is expecting thunderstorms. It'll bring much-needed rain to the fire-devastated areas and likely help clear the smoky air that's caused awful air quality. But with that precipitation comes a whole set of different challenges. The rain hitting already loose and unstable ground could cause flash flooding, as well as landslides.
Crews also continue battling multiple fires in Washington state. A grim new milestone in the pandemic as the number of coronavirus cases worldwide tops 30 million. It's over 6.6 million in the U.S., with more than 197,000 deaths. The state of Michigan is urging people to stay inside in some areas, not because of coronavirus, but over an outbreak of a mosquito-borne illness.
The Michigan State Health Department says it's confirmed Eastern equine encephalitis, or EEE, a potentially deadly disease transmitted by mosquitoes, prompting mandatory nighttime aerial anti-mosquito spraying in 10 western Michigan counties, using a plant-based insecticide that we're told is safe for humans. It's believed that 28 horses and 1 person have contracted the disease in Michigan, 5 others across the country in the Midwest and eastern U.S., where EEE is also present, though according to the CDC, generally rare in humans. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Not much movement so far on Wall Street. The Dow's down 28 points. I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
A reading on the economy improved in August, but it was at a weaker pace than July and June. The Conference Board says the 1.2% increase in its economic indicators in August is a sign the economy's rebound may be losing steam. However, consumer confidence has improved this month from August, as measured by the University of Michigan. You won't be able to download video sharing app TikTok or use messaging and payment app WeChat after Sunday night. The Commerce Department says it is taking action against the China-based apps. There are negotiations to sell TikTok's U.S. operation, possibly to Oracle and Walmart. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross tells Fox Business Network if that doesn't happen with safeguards by November 12th, TikTok will be banned in the U.S. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Coselda, invested in you.
Customers, students, and staff expect a new level of clean. Cintas has the essential products and services to help you carry out cleaning protocols effectively. Cintas performs surface sanitizer and disinfectant spray services to common touchpoints, installs and refills touchless hand sanitizer dispensers, and provides commercial laundry services to help minimize employee exposure. Give everyone the confidence they need to keep coming back. Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
Thanks for listening to KHTS AM 1220, Canyon Country, California. K260CO 98.1 FM, Santa Clarita, California.
Once heart attack symptoms begin, delaying treatment increases the risk of heart damage, disability, and even death. Time is critical. Leading the Valley with the most advanced digital technology and treatment times that beat national best practice goals, Providence offers emergency coronary angioplasty and stenting performed by highly trained board-certified cardiologists. For more information, call 1-888-HEALING. The road to healing leads to Providence.
Welcome to Dunkin'. There are 2 Dunkin' locations in the SCV. Both locations have outdoor seating, carry-out service, and delivery with Postmates, Grubhub, and Uber Eats. Use the Dunkin' app to order and accumulate points. The Canyon Country location on Sierra Highway near Via Princesa has drive-through service and is open till 7 p.m. The Bouquet Canyon location just off Newhall Ranch Road has curbside service and is now open till 7 p.m. The Santa Clarita Valley runs on Dunkin'.
Senator Scott Wilk is working overtime to create the jobs California needs to recover.
As principal co-author of the aerospace tax credit, Scott's leadership helped bring a $65 billion aerospace contract and 6,500 new jobs to our community.
Scott helped prevent thousands of jobs in the entertainment industry from going out of state.
A former small business owner, Senator Wilk is working to help our local businesses survive.
Scott knows our economy can't recover until we stop the spread of COVID-19.
That's why he was part of a bipartisan effort to improve California's response to coronavirus and put medical supplies where needed.
Scott Wilk, putting party politics aside
to get California healthy and working again.
Senator Scott Wilk.
He delivers.
Ad paid for by California Labor and Business Alliance, CLAB, sponsored by building trades, correctional peace officers, apartment rental organizations, and energy providers. Committee major funding from Chevron Corporation and its subsidiaries affiliates. Not authorized by a candidate or a committee controlled by a candidate.
At iLead Agua Dulce, we believe the most important thing a child can learn in school is who they are. Life's real tests are never standardized, which is why we've developed an individual-based curriculum that values exploration, cooperation, and creativity. As our learners grow, so do we. Our tuition-free charter school is currently enrolling grades TK through 7th and adding 8th grade in 2020. Your young learner will be immersed in a unique environment where possibility and self-discovery are at the core of every experience. The Agua Dulce campus features beautiful indoor and outdoor spaces for hands-on inspiration, including a robotics lab, a garden bed, a greenhouse, and a technology-based exploratorium. iLead Agua Dulce is conveniently located on the east side of the Santa Clarita Valley, just off the 14 freeway. Check out our homeschool options too. To schedule a campus tour or learn more about our programs, visit iLeadAguaDulce.org. We're enrolling now. iLead Schools. Free to think, inspired to lead.
Hey there, it's Tori with your hometown station weather. Another hazy, sunshiny day with highs in the mid to upper 90s, overnight lows in the 60s, and it looks like more of the same for the weekend. For anything and everything Santa Clarita Valley related, go to hometownstation.com. Find us on social media at KHTS Radio.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
The following is sponsored programming and does not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley. Hour number 2. We're heading into one of my favorite topics. That we've got an amazing project that we've been running at SCVi, for 6-7 years now. My next guest is Amber Soto. Amber is the oldest of 7 children who grew up in the Antelope Valley. She was a standout student and athlete who played varsity soccer for 3 years. Following high school, Amber received 2 associate's degrees from Antelope Valley College and her BS in applied mathematics. Such a cool degree, applied mathematics, and then her master's in education with an emphasis on mathematics from UCLA. During this time, she balanced her brains with beauty and talent, becoming Miss Pear Blossom. She began her career in teaching, running an elementary school play intervention program. She also taught math and AP physics at Locke High School. Excelling there, she became a math coach, teaching and mentoring other teachers before becoming an assistant principal in the Anaheim Union High School District. From there, she joined iLead Schools as the director of mathematics, where she's served now for 3 years. Amber, welcome back to the show.
Hi, thanks. Good to be back.
How's it going? It's good to have you. Alrighty, so
it's
Amber,
going all right, all things considered, right?
Yeah, gosh, everything's either on fire or locked down or whatever. It's been a rough time. So Amber, you're the director of mathematics instruction, implementation, and improvement. Another cool title, director of mathematics instruction, implementation, and improvement. So tell us a little bit about that. What is it that you do for SCVi and our other schools?
Well, a lot of it, honestly, is just it's directly working with the facilitators, which is what we call our teachers. So it's going into the classrooms when they had classrooms, doing observations, giving feedback. It's meeting with them weekly, where we look at what's coming up for the next week and how we can best teach that. It's offering professional development at different points throughout the year. So really, it's just kind of having that time with them. And, a lot of it is mindset. There's a lot of people that when I first come in contact, they're like, no, I hate math, I hate teaching math, whatever it is. And so it's kind of shifting that mindset into realizing that math can be fun and we can really engage people in a real world way and an applied way and a fun way to make it more relevant and to make it more where they're more willing to dig into it and have fun with it.
Fantastic. So yeah, you kind of came in 3 years ago to our organization with that mindset to really help our entire staff focus on math and make it engaging, fun, rigorous. Those things don't have to be mutually exclusive, right? So you've been with us for 3 years now. So how's it going? Specifically at SCVi and then also organization-wide, how are we doing with our math?
Oh, it's going really well, honestly. We've seen the scores go up and up and up. We've had a lot of success with some positivity behind it. We really pushed. The last time I was on the radio show, I talked about Joe Bowler's work with being okay with making mistakes, and that's one of the biggest things that go against math is that we're always taught, no, you're either right or wrong. Mm-hmm. And we don't really embrace the power in learning from our mistakes and that it's okay to be wrong. And so a lot of times kids aren't willing to dig in because they're just going to be wrong. And so really kind of pushing that idea that, like, let's learn from those mistakes, let's grow from them. And I've seen that shift not just in the facilitators, but also in a lot of the kids. In my own child, who currently goes to an I-Lead school. So there's been a lot of positivity and mind shift around just math in general, I think.
Yeah, that is one of those things I hear oftentimes a more kind of old school thought towards teaching math, that it's an exact science and you're either right or wrong, but that builds so much fear in us rather than wanting to like we talk about in English language arts, we do writing. We go through various drafts, right? We develop various different versions of our work until we. Can you see me? I'm doing the air quotes. Until we get it right, right? But we don't give ourselves the same freedom. We don't give ourselves the same leeway in math to work on it until we get it right. But that is so important because it's that getting in there and swimming around with the numbers and the different concepts that's so important, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You know, I was looking at a cartoon yesterday, and a little kid was doing a math problem up on the whiteboard, and he's got it written out, 19 minus 7 equals 4. And he's kind of just staring at the board, and the teacher's looking over his shoulder, and she says, you know that's wrong, don't you? And he says, yeah, I'm just waiting for the autocorrect. So we need to develop more of a mindset that way. So yeah. It's fantastic that you're working with our teachers. Like you said, we call them facilitators. You're working with our facilitators and with our learners to develop those flexible growth mindsets around math. I understand you have quite the affinity for escape rooms as well. Is that right? Do you think that there's a connection with the mathematical mindset and escape rooms?
Oh, 100%. I mean, a big part of it is, solving problems, right? In the escape room, they're giving you clues that you have to essentially solve. So, yeah, we started going to escape rooms, my family and I, probably like 4 years ago. And back then, they were still kind of new in the concept. And since then, we've probably been to close to 100 at this point. We love them. So much so that when I first started with iLead, during one of our summer training sessions, I did one whole day that was focused on project-based learning around creating escape rooms for your classroom and allowing kids to be able to solve different mathematical concepts within the escape room, and then taking it a step further, which I think this is the important part, in teaching kids how to make their own, because it's in that creative mode that they really, really dig into some of that really, really critical thinking work. And so that's been really, really cool to be able to do that. And then because I had done that at a training, one of our facilitators, Carolyn Krieger, she's wonderful, shout out to her, she came to me with an idea of creating a virtual escape room now that we're in virtual mode. And I said, that's a fantastic idea, because I had done several that were already online, but I had never thought about creating one for the classroom. It was one of those moments that I was like, why didn't I think of that? But so we looked at it, and she created a beautiful one. And so we decided together to do a training for our facilitators on creating virtual escape rooms that kids can dig into to try. And then now the message has been beyond that, teaching them to create their own. because kids honestly can do way more with electronics than we can a lot of times. So they just kind of like go through it, and it's been really, really amazing to see some of the results. A lot of the different facilitators will send me theirs when they create them, and I have fun with it because I get to do them. But it's been a really, really cool thing to see unfold, honestly.
What a great way to do exactly what we talked about, to bring in the engagement, the rigor, the fun with, and still develop those deep math experiences with our kids. Amber, so tell me, are you as patient with yourself as you are with your facilitators when you're in these escape rooms? Do you embrace the failure like you encourage the rest of us to do? Have you ever been in an escape room that you and your family just haven't been able to escape from? And if so, how well do you deal with that emotionally?
Never. We never.
Failure is not an option.
Probably just over 50%. There are plenty of times that we don't pass it. And it's funny because I think that it's less about feeling like a failure and more about wanting to know how it works. Just like, ooh, we didn't even get to that puzzle. How did that work? So sometimes they'll kind of walk you through the stuff you didn't get to, but sometimes they don't, and that's the part that like kind of gets under my skin. But I think the cool thing when you do an escape room is you're not individual. You have a team. And so it's kind of like you lean on each other, and there's less of that feeling of I'm the one that's a failure because you're all in this together.
Yeah, because you can blame it on your teammates. Perfect. Now, Amber, with the pandemic, it's been rough. We haven't been able to get out there into escape rooms, but did you know that our city, the city of Santa Clarita, has developed a virtual escape room experience? It's actually a series. Tonight at midnight, you'll actually be able to participate if you'd like, and if you can stay up that late, to participate in the Wild West Virtual Escape Room Part 1 through the city of Santa Clarita. You can check out the city's Facebook page for more information there. Amber, you are the math guru, and everybody knows why 6 is afraid of 7, right?
7, 8, 9.
Right, because 7, 8, 9. But do you know why 6 is not afraid of base 8 systems?
Why is that?
Because 7, 10, 11. We're talking with Director of Mathematics Instruction at SCVi and iLead Schools, Amber Soto. When we come back, one of the teachers that she's been collaborating with will be joining us, and we're going to be talking not so much about math, but about some cool science stuff that they've been working on. So stick around. You're listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley. I'm Matt Watson on your hometown station, KHTS.
Hi, I'm Eric Goldhurst, Head of Operations for Burger King North America. Throughout this time, we've taken steps to take care of our guests.
And since we know many of your jobs have been affected by this crisis,
we want to help make sure you're taken care of too.
If you are looking for work, we are hiring.
And there's a spot on our team for you.
We know that we'll get through this together, as long as we keep taking care of each other.
For more information, call 253-3283. That's 253-3283.
This is Jill from the Santa Clarita Grocery, the all-volunteer grocery program serving children, families, and individuals experiencing food insecurities. Since January 2020, Santa Clarita Grocery has distributed 83 tons of fresh groceries to our 4,655 families in the SCV community. Santa Clarita Grocery is a drive-up, drive-through service with physical distancing in place to continue serving our community. If you are in need or looking for a charity to do the most good for our community, please consider partnering with us by donating to Santa Clarita Grocery, one of the most efficient charities in the Santa Clarita Valley. A full 99 cents out of every dollar goes directly back to the community. Santa Clarita Grocery operates on a 1% overhead and is sustained through private donations. Santa Clarita Grocery is at 21176 Center Point Parkway in the Oasis Furniture parking lot. Please visit our website at santaclaritagrocery.org or our Facebook at Santa Clarita Grocery to make a difference in our awesome town community. 425-7575. Be our guest and experience the difference.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. Pillows would go flat, I would flip-flop all night long, I would wake up with a sore neck, maybe a headache, or feel like I needed a nap even though I slept 8 hours. When I invented MyPillow, I wanted it to where you could move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of sleep position. MyPillow will get you into that deep sleep faster and you will stay there longer. It's not about how much time we spend in bed, it's about how much of that quality sleep we get. I do all of my own manufacturing right here in the United States. I have a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry my pillow, and I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. And here's my best offer ever. You can buy one of my pillows and get one absolutely free.
Go to mypillow.com and use the promo code KHTS or call 800-973-3927 and use the promo code KHTS. That's 800-973-3927 or mypillow.com and use the promo code KHTS.
There are times when nothing else will do because you do know exactly what you want. You want the Alamo, the taste of true Mexican cooking at its best. At Alamo, you're treated to a taste that is truly Mexican with an atmosphere to match. Enjoy a Cadillac margarita, try a mucho burrito, or sizzling fajitas. Voted the best Mexican food in the SCVi and a favorite of former supervisor Mike Antonovich. Alamo Rotisserie in Granary Square, serving Santa Clarita for over 30 years.
Great news! Men Cryotherapy is reopening. As always, they continue to clean and sanitize all equipment. Social distancing will be enforced and hand sanitizer will be provided throughout the facility. Temperature checks will be done daily on each employee, and masks will be provided if forgotten. They have amazing welcome back specials, including the $99 performance package, which includes a cryo session, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, which boosts recovery of damaged cells, the aromatherapy oxygen bar, Nucom, and infrared sauna. There's also a beauty package with a cryofacial, infrared sauna, and more. And don't forget their extensive selection of health and wellness products, including CBD. Men Cryotherapy is open Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. For more information, go to MEND, M-E-N-D, cryotherapy.com. MEND Cryotherapy on Newhall Ranch Road in the Gateway Shopping Center.
Paid for by Scott Wilk for State Senate. Every year, it gets harder to earn a decent living. No matter how unaffordable life is, Sacramento's special interest and their pet candidates always want more of our hard-earned money. Candidates like Kip Muller. 'Cause Kip thinks he knows better than you. We know Kip Muller wants to gut Prop 13's property tax protections, making life more expensive for homeowners and crushing small businesses. Kip thinks he knows better than you. And we know Kip Muller supports making rideshare and other gig jobs illegal, throwing millions out of work, and doubling the price of our health care. Kip thinks he knows better than you. We know Kip Muller. He's a know-it-all, pushing the same Sacramento policies that make it hard to live a middle-class life. Kip knows better than you. Sing it again. Kip Muller thinks he knows better than you.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi Charter Schools, Eye on the Valley, and I am your host, Matt Watson. We're joined this morning by Amber Soto. She's the Director of Mathematics Instruction at SCVi and I Lead Schools, and we are also joined now by one of her recent collaborators, Shauna Brown. Shauna is a graduate of Adolfo Camarillo High School, go Scorps, and she has a degree in chemistry from Cal State Channel Islands. She currently teaches 4th and 5th grade at SCVi. Shauna, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. Now, Shauna, you weren't able to join us in that first break with Amber because you were meeting the needs of our kids. You were in what we call morning meeting with your kiddos, right? How are they doing?
They are doing great, and we just ended an amazing week. We ended with some recognition awards that they were able to give each other for just outstanding behavior and hard work ethic. It was awesome to see.
That's so cool that they're nominating each other for awards like that. That is really sweet. You know, last hour we were talking with Frederick from Insight Teen Treatment Center, and he talked about how important it is for kids to build that sense of community. And it's so cool, even though we have to be distanced, your kids can't come into class with you every day. You're still working hard to build that community with them. That is wonderful. So, Shawna, I do want to get you caught up. Before you joined us, Amber was bragging about all the great coaching and training that she does with the staff at SCVi. Is she really all that she claims to be, Shawna?
Oh, I would not be half the math teacher I am today without all the math coaching that Amber gives us and all the insight she has. Like, you know, we have a tendency, all teachers have a tendency to lean towards how they were taught, and how we were taught was pretty traditional. So she does a wonderful, wonderful job of saying, hey, that's a really great, like, seed of information and idea, but let's make it so fun and accessible for all learners. And she just flips it completely, and you'd never think about it. The way her brain works is just incredible.
Aw, go on.
I'll give you your $20 later.
Go on. No, seriously, go on. It's a 2-hour show. I'm kidding. Amber, you are doing some great things in the area of math, but like I said before the break, you're not here to discuss math today, but to talk about a more science-based project, the Dream Up to Space project. Can you tell us a little bit about the project and how you got involved as our math expert?
Well, let me start by correcting you, Matthew.
Okay.
This is not a science-based project. This is a STEAM project. And in STEAM, we have an M, which is mathematics.
Oh, you're right, and I do stand corrected. So STEAM, we do focus a lot on STEAM: science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. My bad. Yes, so I appreciate it. So what are you doing to put the M in Dream Up?
Yeah, so actually, it's funny because I corrected you, but really it didn't start with putting the M in Dream Up. It started because when COVID hit and everything got locked down, Kathleen Fredette, who is the wonderful, wonderful director of STEAM, and she is doing amazing, amazing things for our schools, she wasn't sure she was going to continue the Dream Up project for this year just because everything was shut down. And I was very vocal, because my child attends I-Lead schools, that I wanted to see that continue because I think it is one of the coolest projects in the world. And so that's kind of where I jumped in, to really kind of help see how can we do this virtually, and, looking at how can we structure things to make this work in a distance learning world. And so that's what we did. We kind of worked together to build that from the ground up, and it's been amazing because it allowed us to participate in doing a project virtually, with distance learning. So now that we work with our teachers, we can say, these are some of the things we tried, this is what worked, this is what didn't, and really kind of take it from there. So it's been a cool process, but that's how I got involved. And I realized I skipped right over what it was, so I apologize for that. The Dream Up project is amazing. It is a project in which kids think about experiments that they would like to have done in space, on the International Space Station. And so they get the opportunity to think through. We do some units where we talk about things like microgravity and, the International Space Station and, experimental process and different things like that. So they go through these units, and by the end of the unit, they come up with an idea within given parameters that they would like to see done on the International Space Station. And then essentially we use outside assessors to narrow it down, and we pick our top 2 finalists who actually do get to send their experiments to space, which is super, super awesome. So that
cool.
is the nutshell of what Dream Up is.
It is so cool. And what they do is they conduct their experiment here on Earth, and they get the results, and then actual NASA scientists, astronauts, conduct the same exact experiment according to our kids' specifications. They follow our kids' instructions, not vice versa, and they conduct the exact same experiment in space under microgravity conditions, and then the kids compare the results of of those two different runs here on Earth and there in space, and kind of the driving impetus behind it is, all right, guys, we're looking at colonizing the moon and Mars within your lifetime. What are some of the things that we're going to have to figure out, and how do we use this amazing space station that we have at our disposal to help us continue to push the envelope in the area of research? It's actual work. It's not science simulations or recreations. It's actual work that our kids are conducting, and then using astronauts as their students to conduct the research for them. It is such a cool experiment. Amber, you touched on the fact that we've been running this project for several years now. Now, Shawna, the project that we're talking about today is really interesting because Dream Up and NanoRacks, and I like to, so Dream Up is the name of the project that kids can send their experiments to space on. NanoRacks I like to explain as kind of NASA's FedEx, right? They specialize in shipping and preparing things to fly on SpaceX and to be delivered to NASA and everything worked out. But those organizations, they don't work on a school calendar, right? They don't work with, okay, we got to get this started in August so that we can have it done by May, right? They're on their own time limit. And as a matter of fact, a few years back, I took the trip, went out to Florida to watch one of the kids' experiments launch, and we were ready and we were counting it down, and then lightning struck and the launch got scrubbed and I had to go home. I missed it. So they don't work on our timeline, right? So
yeah, it's pretty gnarly. Like, everything that we do is completely on their schedule, because you can't go to NASA and say, hey, could we have a couple extra days, or could we actually start in the spring? Like, absolutely not. We say, hey, NASA, what can we do to get this onto your rocket? And we go to SpaceX. What can we do to get this on your rocket? Right. And we follow that schedule to a T. So it starts with a proposal process, generally in the spring, and then towards the end of the school year, a finalist is chosen, and then we take some time to strategize over the summer. And by the time we get to the fall, it's time to start optimizing the experiment. So we can't just send anything up to ISS. We have to get all of the components of the experiment approved by SpaceX. We have to make sure that the experiment is at its ideal and peak performance, which means that we have to start testing down on Earth, because if you send something up that wouldn't even work on Earth, how's it going to work up in space? So we have to make sure that we know what we're doing before it gets up there. And then we also have to fundraise. It takes thousands of dollars to get this experiment up there, and the kids just have the best ideas for how to come up with $6,000. If you need $6,000, ask your kids how you can get $6,000, and they'll come up with something really creative. Like, for example, last year we held a school dance for 4, 5, and middle school, and we raised almost the entire amount of money that we needed to, and by providing a community experience where our whole school got behind the idea of sending this experiment to space, which was one of the coolest parts of the whole process. And then when March comes around, then we head to Florida. And this March was really interesting, actually, because that was right before everything shut down. I think we got back to California maybe 3 days before everything shut down with coronavirus. So it was really, spectacular timing, because if we had left any later, we would have had to come back, no questions asked.
Wow, and your kids got their experiment kind of on that last train out, right? I can just kind of see, COVID exploding right behind Elon Musk's taxi cab there, if you will. So, Shawna, tell us what the experiment is all about. I know we've done multiple experiences. There's actually been dozens of experiments that different kids across the grade levels, because this isn't just 4th and 5th grade. This is 4th through 12th grade. But your kids a couple of years ago were selected. They're now in what? They're in 6th and 7th grade now, right? Okay.
Yeah, no, 7th and 8th.
So what's the experiment all about? What are they trying to discover? What are they testing?
Yeah, so just like you said, our experiments are normally geared towards the idea of, convenient space travel, which is right around the corner. And there's really important slides and features about space travel that we're going to need. So our cohort thought about oxygen. So now we produce oxygen through electrolysis, which is very energy heavy, and it's basically chemically forcing the oxygen to separate from hydrogen in water, which is very, very energetically expensive. And so our learners had the wonderful idea of setting up seaweed called Pyropia perforata in hopes that through photosynthesis it would provide enough oxygen to use that as an oxygen supply source in a more natural and less energetic way.
Wow, so they want to see if seaweed can actually help produce the oxygen that we're going to need when we're living in a less than optimal, to say the least, oxygenated environment. So really, really cool. And so they did their experiment here on the ground. They did it up at the Space Center, or at the space station. And then now, has the experiment come back, or is it still up there?
Yeah, so it stays up there for roughly 30 days, and then it comes on back. So it came back to me in mid-April, and I have it. It's in my apartment. I have something in my house that is. It's been in space, which sometimes late at night when you're about to fall asleep, you're like, oh my God, I have something that's been in space. It's kind of a weird thing. And so we are really excited to actually start analyzing the results. And we've kind of put a pause on it because the experiment has a chemical in it that kind of freezes it in time. It's a harsh preservative. So whatever the experiment was exposed to when the preservative was mixed in, it's frozen right there. Like if you ever have seen like weird things in a science lab that are kind of frozen in time.
Sure.
It's kind of like that. So the results are still valid. They're still here waiting for us whenever we're ready to come out of this kind of pandemic shutdown, so that learners can really start to look into what happened at the ISS.
Okay, so you guys are kind of holding on. There's no rush to do that post-flight analysis. You're going to wait until kids are able to come back on campus to do that post-flight analysis?
Yeah, so it's really important to make sure that this is completely learner-led, and they get to the bottom of that mystery with our guidance. And just with the hands-on experimenting, it just gets a little bit hard when we're at a distance. So we're just putting a pause in it, and the kids are really excited to come back and get to the bottom of that mystery once it's safe and we're ready to go back into the lab.
Gosh, so everybody in the world is chomping at the bit to get back on campus, but this group of kids in particular, I'm sure they are just raring to go and wanting to see how things worked out. So once they do perform their post-flight analysis, they're going to get their results, and they'll be able to compare the experiment that was done in space versus the experiment that they did in your classroom. So then how do they present their findings?
So right now we are actually preparing them. Amber kind of touched on this with virtual mission. They kind of went through units to make sure that they had the content knowledge and skills to be able to participate effectively in the experiment. We're kind of doing the same thing. So the learners are kind of going through units, like we're going to talk about plant cells, photosynthesis, even like lab skills like spectroscopy, which is something that normally they wouldn't learn about until upper high school advanced science classes. So I think it's wonderful that we're getting that exposure to them now. So they're going to be fully ready to make that happen. By the time we get back into the lab, they'll be fully prepared. And the virtual setting has really opened our eyes to how we can get information to learners, and they're still fully invested into the project while we're in this distance setting. They stayed invested by learning the knowledge that they need to before we get back into the lab.
Okay, very cool. So I love that, it's not necessarily like kind of the guided tour through the museum that is science class, like you and I were raised doing. Just like all of our subjects through project-based learning, our kids are learning by actually doing it. They're doing the science rather than just learning about the science. And when we do that, the learning just really sticks. Now, Amber, you mentioned that you came on the project to make sure that it continues moving forward, even though our kids can't be on campus. So can you explain a little bit about how you're doing this, how you're continuing, you and Kathleen are continuing to further this project even though kids aren't on campus? How are you able to work with the kids through this virtual environment when typically I think about this project of kids needing to be in a lab with their materials, with their teacher, with their facilitator, doing these experiments? How are you able to do it virtually?
Yeah, it was kind of tough at the beginning when we were trying to figure it out. And so what we did is we looked at all the things they had implemented in classrooms in years past and thought about how can we make this virtual. So we met with the kids twice a week throughout the whole period of the spring pandemic session. And we would meet with them on Mondays and Wednesdays. On Mondays would be the day where we would do a lot of things from what we call our guidance document, and I'll explain that in a minute. And then Wednesdays would be our office hour days, where if the kids had any questions at all, they could come in and ask us questions. We could take them into breakout rooms to explain different pieces of it. So the guidance document is kind of what we landed on. And the idea behind that was it's this Google Doc that has the different things that we want them to complete for the week or for the unit, which was usually a week. And so there's may-dos and must-dos. The must-dos are the things that we said by the end of the week, these are the things we really want you to do. The may-dos were kind of extra on top of it, some things that you can do to further this. And we did it on a badging system. So as they got to certain levels of doing a certain amount of may-dos, they were able to get their badges and eventually even their pictures up on our website, the ISAP website, to kind of, allow that process to be led by them. So what we would do is on the Mondays, we would pick different things. So for example, if there was an experiment they needed to do, we would do it on camera. We would start it and we would ask them, what do you think's going to happen here? To kind of pique their curiosity.
Okay.
And then they would all put their guesses out there and what they would think. And then we'd say, okay, so now you're going to replicate this. You're going to do the same experiment at home and you're going to videotape the results. And that was the way that they uploaded, and everything was tagged onto this document. We had them all create Google Slides that they would put all of their videos, all of their pictures, responses to written things. And then the other cool thing is the beauty of the internet is there are tons of videos that you can come across that are all experiments in motion, explanations of things. There's just a lot of really cool stuff out there. So we were able to make that a part of it too. Watch this video and reflect in writing what you thought it was. And so we tried to make it multi-layer. Mm-hmm. So some of it was an experiment that they would have to finish that we started. Some of it was a video that they had to watch and respond to. Some of it was something they had to create, hands-on things. There were a lot of really, really cool things involved. And then we'd give them that document on Monday, go through it with them, tell them the expectations of it, and then they ran themselves. If they wanted to come in on Wednesday to check in, they could. But it worked beautifully because I think the starting it together on Monday kind of got them hooked in. They were excited about it. And it was all exciting work. And then they would follow through. And so if they didn't have the materials needed to do certain experiments, sometimes we'd mail it to them.
Okay.
But for the most part, we tried to do experiments that had easy grab things at home that they were able to do.
That is so cool. That is so cool how you're able to build that into a distance learning setting. And, you were talking about the may-dos and must-dos, and it got me thinking about the I-dos and a conversation that I had with a friend of mine last night. This friend of mine, he's a decimal. I don't want to mention him by name, but his initials are 0.75. And he was talking about getting married. He actually proposed to his longtime girlfriend. She happens to be a fraction. That's right. So he proposed, Amber, and she turned him down. You know why?
Ooh.
You know why she turned him down?
You're going to tell math joke right now.
Yeah,
I feel it in my soul.
She didn't want to have to convert. Amber Soto is the Director of Mathematics Instruction at SCVi, and I lead schools. Shauna Brown teaches 4th and 5th grade at SCVi, and they're both doing great things for kids. Ladies, I've got a couple more questions for you. Are you able to stick around for another break with us?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And you listeners, you hang with us because we'll have more right after this. You're listening to SCVi Charter School's Eye on the Valley. I'm Matt Watson on your hometown station, KHTS.
It's against the law to evade taxes. Denny & Company are experts at minimizing your tax burden while staying within the bounds of the laws. Denny & Company, LLP. CPAs that make life less taxing. Call 286-8860.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. Pillows would go flat, I would flip-flop all night long, I would wake up with a sore neck, maybe a headache, or feel like I needed a nap even though I slept 8 hours. When I invented MyPillow, I wanted it to where you could move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of sleep position. MyPillow will get you into that deep sleep faster, and you will stay there longer. It's not about how much time we spend in bed, it's about how much of that quality sleep we get. I do all of my own manufacturing right here in the United States. I have a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry my pillow, and I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. And here's my best offer ever. You can buy one of my pillows and get one absolutely free.
Go to mypillow.com and use the promo code KHTS, or call 800-973-3927 and use the promo code KHTS. That's 800-973-3927 or mypillow.com and use the promo code KHTS.
No words can describe the power of belonging to a group of close friends or being part of a family. Insight Treatment Center was founded more than 20 years ago to give teenagers a community of friends and family as they overcome issues like depression, anxiety, and trauma. The new Santa Clarita location is a COVID-secure environment where distance and good airflow are a priority. As a leader in providing intensive outpatient treatment to teenagers, Insight Treatment Center in Santa Clarita is here to help. Call 888-295-9995 or go online to insighttreatment.com.
Join us this fall for online fun with the Canyon Theater Guild online youth workshops. Super fun classes with acting, singing, dancing, audition tips, script writing, scene study, improv, and putting on real shows created for online performance. Get creative, meet new friends, and most of all, have a blast from the comfort of your own home. Call 661-799-2702 or ctgworkshops@gmail.com or canyontheater.org.
You see so much when you look at your child. A creative spirit that surprises you every day. Curiosity that develops into exploring unique passions. A little leader growing every day to discover who they are, what they love, and how they can make their mark on the world. At SCVi, we see those same amazing things. Our tuition-free K-12 charter school gives your child boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine freely with a customized learning program built around each individual student. As iLead's founding school, SCVi combines an immersive approach to traditional subject learning with extracurricular activities including STEAM, robotics, theater, music, and sports. SCVi has the only international baccalaureate program in Santa Clarita, with a 10-year proven track record of graduates excelling at top universities. And we're in your backyard, just off the 5 freeway in West Santa Clarita Valley in Castaic. For enrollment information or to learn more about our program, including homeschool options, visit iLeadSantaClarita.org. iLead Schools, free to think, inspired to lead.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley. We are here this morning with Amber Soto, Director of Math Instruction for SCVi and iLead Schools, and Shauna Brown. She teaches 4th and 5th grade at SCVi. We're talking about the Dream Up to Space project, where a couple of Shauna's kids, actually a group of about 4 or 5 of them, actually designed an experiment, wrote it to NASA specifications, put it on Elon Musk's rocket ship, sent it to the International Space Station. NASA scientists conducted the experiment there, and now they're just waiting to do the post-flight analysis, comparing their results with the results conducted in space. Such a cool project, and Amber, you're really helping facilitate how this is continuing to be done in a virtual environment where kids can't come into the lab, can't come on campus. Shauna, I understand that you've used some of the structure that Amber and Kathleen have developed to run this project virtually. You're using some of that structure to change the way you've been running your entire class during distance learning. Is that right? Can you explain?
Yeah, absolutely. So just like Amber was saying, the guidance documents are split into must-dos and may-dos, which is an excellent system because you ensure that learners are getting the skills that they need and, you know, the core skills and the must-dos. And then in the may-dos, it completely is catered to their interest and skills and talents. And so there's something for everyone, and it really empowers the learners just to tackle the assignments with excitement rather than being like, oh man, this is my whole checklist, I got to do all of it. They get more choice, and they get to be kind of owners in their education and leadership. So it's awesome.
It is so important to give them that choice. Now, Amber, we talked about how this isn't just an experiment that our 4th and 5th graders are doing, or this is a project that all of our learners at SCVi and our other iLead schools have the opportunity to work on. So what are some of the other experiments that kids have worked on over the last 6-7 years?
Oh man, there have been so many, but I think my favorite is the one around mycelium, just because there's a lot of talk around mycelium right now because of what you're able to do with it.
What is your psyllium?
Essentially, it's not mycelium, silly. Mycelium.
Okay.
It's basically a fungus. You know, a lot of people think like mushrooms, that it grows. But the thing that's beautiful about it is they're finding you can make all kinds of things with it. Like you can create building like blocks to make houses, or you can make clothing out of it, or you can make their roots are very fibrous and strong. And so there's been a lot of work around how can we use this. And so one of our groups of kids decided to see if mycelium could grow in space, with the idea that if we do go on to colonize Mars, for example, that we will be able to not have to carry like heavy building materials on a spaceship to get there, but that we can just bring mycelium seeds, grow it ourselves, and then make building materials out of that. So it really helps the process of being able to create it into what we want it to be. So I thought that was a super, super cool one.
Yeah, I can only imagine what it would cost to send a shipment of bricks from, I don't know, the Inland Empire up to Mars. But if you can create your own building materials on Mars, that would be just ideal. And I know the first experiment that we had conducted was testing the rate of rust in space, which again is going to be really important. There was another one remarkably important. We had some kids testing whether or not the dough in my pizza will rise in space. Not kidding. They tested this, experimented on the space station just to make sure, 6th graders, of course, right? Just to make sure that we can have our pizza and eat it too, right? So really quick question before we go. This one is for both of you. Actually, you know what? I think we're going to have to bow out of this one, huh, Patty? Okay, I know there's so many different things that are challenging all of us, but there's some things that that we're learning from distance learning that can be implemented back into the classroom. I'll have to have you both back so that we can continue discussing that. I know you guys have got some important things to do. We've got to get out of here. But Amber, before I go, you'll never believe this. Last weekend I got kicked out of a casino over math. Yeah, I was arguing with the pit boss at the roulette wheel over my definition of an odd number. You know, because I put $50 on odd and 34. That's an odd number. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you to today's guests, Frederik Shulin, CEO of Insight Teen Treatment Centers, Amber Soto, Director of Mathematics Instruction at SCVi, and Shauna Brown, 4th and 5th grade facilitator at SCVi. I'm your host, Matt Watson. Join us next Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. To our Jewish friends, Shana Tova, Happy New Year. This is SCVi Charter Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.